Hello, everyone. Good morning and good afternoon to wherever you are. I just wanted to invite our audience over here participating and thank you all for joining us today. For our today's session, Digital Order to Cash Innovations for the New Normal and Beyond. We're just going to begin our session, but before we begin, I'd like to request you all to please keep yourselves on mute. And any questions that you have as part of the course of the presentation, you could post them on your chat window, and we will take those questions sequentially at the end of the presentation. For today's session, we have with us Veena Gundevelli. She's the founder and CEO of Emagia. She's a thought leader and innovator in the fields of artificial intelligence, data analytics, process automation. Veena is a highly recognized with several industry awards for her visionary ideas and paradigm-shifting innovations in the enterprise finance space. She's also a Forbes Technology Council contributor. Along with Veena, we have with us Vipul Taneja. Vipul is the head of digital finance at Cognizant and is responsible for developing the strategy, sales, and solutions for the practice. He manages a portfolio of 120 clients across North America, Europe, and Asia. Vipul's focus areas include finance and accounting service offerings covering operations, platforms, automation, and analytics. With this, I would like to invite Veena to take us to of the session. Thank you very much, Veena.
Thank you, Akshay. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning. 2 weeks ago, in the World Economic Forum Davos Summit, the World Economic Forum marked this year as the year of Great Reset. The pandemic has changed our lives, our businesses, and our world forever. For businesses, digital has become the core, and AI has become an element that is essential for a go-forward business. This year, there are decisions that executives need to make that impact the future of their businesses. This is a year of recovery, a year of decisions. And this is where leaders, who can make decisions that can help them reimagine and restructure their businesses for a move forward or a go forward for the decade, is going to keep their businesses, in the leaders quadrant. Those, who cannot make decisions this year will lie behind and can risk in a severe degradation for their business. So with that, essentially all aspects of businesses are changing, and digital finance, and especially the order to cash, are changing for the future. Today, we're going to discuss, a whole lot of elements of digital finance transformation for order to cash. And Emagia has been on the forefront of order to cash and innovations in order to cash, helping our customers move forward into the age of digital and into the age of AI. It brings me great pleasure to welcome, our global partner, Cognizant, and the leader for the digital finance services, Vipul Taneja, who has been working with us very closely over the last few years, bringing digital transformation to our joint customers. Welcome, Vipul.
Thank you, Veena. Thanks for the introduction, Veena and Akshay. Let me start with, all right, so let me start with a quick introduction of our organization. For those of you who don't know Cognizant, we are one of the global leaders in digital technology and business operations. A young company. We started, or we were founded back in 1994, still our 26th year in existence, and it's been a phenomenal journey since then. Close to $17 billion in terms of revenues today, with presence pretty much across the globe. A number of industry recognitions that you can see, and I wouldn't touch upon each one of them, but one of the milestones that we are really proud of as an organization, we crossed over 100,000 women last year, and that's something that we are all very, very proud of in the organization. So with that, like Veena said, let me get into today's topic and start by giving a bit more context on the industry background, right? So these are exciting times for us in finance. There's a lot of opportunities out there in terms of improving finance today, especially with the enhancement on the technology front. Traditionally, finance function has been straddled with challenges related to multiple ERPs, legacy systems, poor data quality, and so on, which has led to which typically leads to inefficient and manual processes and multiple handoffs and so on, right? But finally, now there are tools and solutions that are available that address a number of these challenges, and companies don't need to invest in tens of millions of dollars to go about making these large multi-year ERP upgrade programs. But there are many viable options that are available which can help bring best practices and improve end-to-end processes. And to do that without really breaking the bank. Now, as you think of adopting these new age solutions, there are a few recommendations that I would leave you with. One is the question, look at your current processes and question what it would take to really make step changes in the process and the way things are done today. Reimagine your processes. Don't look at incremental improvements, but really see how we can bring a genuine step change in the way things are done today. Second is embrace technology. The pace of change is significant. Don't get left behind. There's a lot that is available out there. See what works best in your organization and in your current environment. Third is think of what is needed from a change standpoint. I cannot you cannot underestimate the challenges related to change. Today, as a finance executive, you don't only need people in a team who are finance SMEs, but also you need data scientists and you need automation experts, people who understand new age technologies and solutions. So you need to make sure that you retrain your team so that they pick those new skill sets. There is an old saying, or there's a saying that culture eats strategy for lunch every day. I can't overemphasize the amount of focus that you need to give on change management and start on these, as you start implementing or looking at these new age solutions. And this is the time for you to make that change more than ever, because, like Veena said, COVID has really, the change has been unprecedented, and it has really exposed the challenges related to manual processes and the need for digitization. I'll take a couple of examples. Let's start with the payable side, and we manage procure to pay operations of close to 100 clients across the globe. The companies that have adopted digital solutions like electronic invoicing and vendor portal managed the challenges that we were hit with back in March and April last year relatively smoothly, right? But the companies which still relied on manual invoices had a huge challenge because suddenly the scanning centers were not operational. There were challenges related to visibility of invoices. Vendors were asking status of payments and so on. So, with all of that, the companies today realize how important it is to leverage technology in their operations. And also change management, I would say, is relatively easy because vendors are willing to make the investment in this case, move to electronic invoicing because they see the value in using vendor portals and such digital solutions. And the same is true for order to cash because managing working capital is so very critical, especially in today's environment. Automating collections as well as payments using ACH or credit card or other payment apps that help get cash in fast, managing credit and disputes through best practices, and technology is a game changer, which is helping a lot of companies in terms of managing their working capital very much. And we see a lot of interest from our clients on how can we help them use different digital platforms and digital solutions and really move the needle in their operations. Quick introduction in terms of our practice. We are one of the leaders in finance and accounting, recognized by many industry analysts as such. In terms of scale, we have 25 locations across the globe with some 14,000 employees delivering F&A work for the clients that we serve. A lot of transformation focus that you can see on the metrics and some of the data points that I mentioned on the slide as well. We have a number of transformation experts and program managers, people with Six Sigma and Lean background, who have strong domain expertise in finance, plus also the digital expertise that are embedded in operations of our clients that help drive the transformation agenda and focus on business outcomes. And from a outcome standpoint, it's not only the focus in terms of how can we help in terms of improving cost, improving efficiency of the operations of our clients. It's also how we can help drive improvements in working capital, or for that matter, the close, payment and time, and so on. I'll take a couple of examples. We worked with Emagia for one of our clients, which is a water solutions company. And using the AR platform of Emagia, we were able to help in terms of DSO reduction by leveraging technology, leveraging artificial intelligence to predict the propensity of payments of a particular invoice, and help, and the platform itself help recommends the prioritization of the collection efforts and so on. So on the back of it, we were able to improve the DSO by over 20% for this client, bringing in significant cash flow improvements and also help in bad debt reduction as well. So, other examples that you can see on the slide, and I won't go through each one of them. But if you look at what are the ingredients that help us in terms of driving this business outcomes, I would say there are 4 areas that we focus on, which are kind of the secret sauce, which are kind of the ingredients of the secret sauce. One is the platforms. Wherever there's a need to leverage a finance platform like Emagia or other platforms in the finance space that are ERP agnostic, that can go a long way in terms of bringing those step changes and improvements for our clients. Even if you have multiple legacy ERPs, you don't really need to invest a lot of money into the ongoing upgrades. These platforms bring a lot of best practices and are also evolving at the time. Second is automation, which is so very crucial today, especially in finance. We've built a library of bots. We have close to around 270 different bot use cases, which are in our library, which are pre-built and easily deployable for our clients. We also have invested in what we call cognitive apps, which bring different kinds of technologies together to help solve a business problem. Take disputes as an example. The application matches deductions with proof of delivery or claim or trade promotion, and then recommends in terms of resolving a dispute. It can do it automatically, or it can flag resolutions which the user can go through and then select which is the best way forward. Then third is process. Again, neither platforms or automation will succeed without you really looking at process standardization and bringing the required transformation there. You cannot automate a broken process. So that has to be a key focus area before you start implementing any digital solutions. And the fourth is, and that's the most critical one, is how can we leverage and how we handle once we have access to all the data. real-time data, which is good quality. That is central to how we help our clients move away from looking at historical performance, but genuinely looking at forward-looking performance and help businesses drive their agenda forward. We have invested in a number of analytics apps that help predict cash flow, improve working capital, drive controls in a process, prevent leakages in terms of cost and revenue, and so on. So, with that, if I see the end-to-end order to cash value chain, right, then I'll take you through a couple of examples on how we are bringing digital interventions to solve two main challenges. One is the manual steps that are needed in the process and how we can help automate right from entering an order all the way to payment, right? How can we make the transaction touchless? And the second is how can we reduce the risk related to the process? So take the first step, which is the order entry. If there are a lot of manual orders, then we leverage OCR tools for reading directly from either the scanned images or PDFs, as the case may be. Then we use natural language processing for working with different formats related to an order. So the system can self-learn in terms of different order formats that are coming in and pick the right information from an image. And the third is then using robotics to then use this data and input into the system. So it's one solution, which is the intake solution, but it leverages 3 different technologies to really help automate and solve that particular business problem.
A quick question. People, do you want to get questions now, or do you want to wait till at the end?
So we'll take the questions at the end. Appreciate if you could post your questions on the chat towards the end of the session. We'll take those questions sequentially.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sure, thanks. The second example is on the credit management side, where again, using technology, a system is able to collect and aggregate data from external resources or credit agencies like DNB, Experian, and also it has highly configurable credit models that can be set up, which is able to then create real-time credit reviews, also recommend any changes to the credit limits, and also can help in terms of sales order release, for example, right? So helps automate, remove that manual touch points and help automate different parts of the process. But also it has predictive intelligence built in. So it could also identify the at-risk customer segments, or where there could be a risk of bankruptcy, for example, right? So it's not only about managing and automating a manual process, but it's also about how can we highlight some of those risks and identify some of those risks on a real-time basis, so that steps can be taken without really waiting for that adverse event to happen. And just to give you one example of a particular industry, and I'll take a healthcare example in this case, in terms of how we are able to manage the end-to-end revenue cycle, which is the order to cash cycle in a healthcare setup. Mix of process, automation, advanced analytics to drive improvements. It starts with making sure that the sales reps fills up all the details and submits a clean order. We all know how sales teams just don't like to follow a process. We've all been there, but that's really crucial, and it's crucial because unless you have a clean order, the rest of the process will not flow through, right? So there would be then breakages in the process, and unless you solve that upfront, you'll face a number of challenges as you go through the process. Order entry is the next step, which again uses various technologies and intake solutions for a touchless entry. Then if there's a denial, there are process interventions on how to deal with different kinds of denials. What's the collection strategy? It also helps in terms of using analytics to predict denials, look at denial propensity, and so on. And again, going back to what I mentioned earlier, it helps in identifying risks, denial risks related to a particular claim, so that we can make those changes to the collection strategy for that claim upfront rather than waiting for the denial to actually happen. So, like that, there are quite a few examples, and I'll make maybe two case studies. First of them is for a high-tech leader. This is a client of ours for the last few years now, and they, as an organization, is growing at a tremendous pace. Had multiple challenges related to non-standard processes before we took over the work. Also, operationally, they were not able to manage the scale of growth or the pace of growth that they had. So we started with, an approach of standardizing their order-to-cash processes across the globe. We centralized their operations in our center in Manila. Then we used analytics to understand the challenges and look at where we should focus our efforts on. We were able to, by using all of these interventions, we were able to improve the collections target we were able to achieve the collections target within 6 months and generate a lot of additional cash flow for the client. The second is the water solutions provider example that I gave earlier. Again, interesting to know that they had huge challenges in terms of the disparate technology landscape that they had. There are over 30 different ERPs, most of them, a number of them being legacy applications with close to 80 or 90 different instances of these ERPs across the globe. So in this case, we worked with Emagia and deployed their platform, which then is able to get one single unified view across these different ERPs and helps collate all the information, as well as helps drive automation, and not only in terms of using analytics and AI to predict the propensity of payment, which helps in terms of where our team should focus on from a collections effort, but it also automates a lot of workflows, a lot of dunning-related efforts, and so on. Again, the impact that the platform was able to generate was pretty immediate, and within the first 9 months or so, we were able to improve the receivables by over 10% for the client. So like that, there are quite a few examples that we can share, but let me hand over to Veena to take you through in a bit more detail on what the platform has to offer before we come back for questions. Veena, over to you.
Thank you, Vipul. That was a good introduction in terms of the order to cash opportunities across the entire spectrum. What I'll talk about today is, again, as a platform, what do we bring together, in the Emagia order to cash platform. As I mentioned earlier, there is, the speed of reimagining and restructuring has changed, and that's where there is a rise of, platforms and the usage of platforms, for achieving this rapid transformation and rapid growth is increasing. What we bring here at Emagia is, the elements of transformation all packaged under one platform. A brief introduction before I dive into some of the details. Emagia, we've been around since over a decade. And our specific expertise is on order to cash. And over the decade, we have transformed several companies successfully. And our mission is to maximize our customers' financial performance by driving efficiency and intelligence in order to cash operations. We have been recognized as one of the leading AI-powered platforms in the industry. And several industry analysts, as well as industry association firms, have given awards and recognitions to our platforms. We have deployed our platform to over 200 plus customers over the last decade. And most importantly, over $850 billion worth of receivables have been processed through our systems. We have deployed our system in over 90 countries, processing AR, as well as in multiple different languages. Our system brings together, information from multiple different enterprise systems, internal as well as external. And, we are global at core. And this, makes us stand apart from many of the small, AR automation systems. We bring together data from multiple ERP systems like Oracle, SAP, Microsoft Dynamics, as well as several other ERP systems into one common platform. We, have a data hub, where we transform in this data as well as the documents into, transformable insights. And we have a AI engine that basically leverages, these insights and drives the processes. On top of this AI engine, we have an integrated solution that brings together different modules, all integrated together, but can be deployed independently. We have modules covering all the way from the order entry credit side of the business to all the way to cash application. And I'll share with you as we move along, how we bring this all together. The core element that we bring together in our platform is the trifecta, the 3 A's, automation, analytics, and AI, all put together. And what we do with these 3 A's is primarily help our customers, drive order to cash in autopilot, making this again a hyper efficient goal to become touchless operations and frictionless cash flow. And I'll share with you how we use some of these. For example, with automation. First and foremost, we use automation to gather data from multiple external systems as well as internal systems through API. We leverage pre-packaged integrations, pre-packaged bots, right into the system. So when you go into implementation, all of these are pre-packaged and available to you. We have bots that gather data, for example, in the credit side, to be able to gather information from external credit bureaus or, license certificate verifications and, liens and bonds and several other aspects to all the way until the cash application, where we are able to gather information from, the banks and, vendor portals and others. So we have over 200 plus pre-packaged bots and pre-built APIs to gather information at one central location into the platform. Now with that, we enable our AI engine. It's computational AI, which leverages the data and converts, that data into insights using machine learning models. We have several pre-packaged models, built in to be able to bring out predictive payment dates or predictive, dispute reasons or predictive, cash flow forecasting and behavioral patterns, of the customers. You can leverage that and tie them right into the strategies that you can use to run the operations. Now, one of the key things that we bring, which pushes the order to cash into the age of AI, is how not only we use AI for computational and predictive analytics, we push AI to the edge to add additional workforce for you, which is the digital workforce. Our flagship, digital assistant, Gia, is today capable of interacting with the customers with the voice and can be deployed at the edge of the financial services, right in the forefront, talking to the customers and giving them information. Gia can also be deployed to internal stakeholders, such as sales, as well as finance executives. For example, more recently, right during the pandemic, one of our large global, business shared services customer has deployed GIA to over, 2,000 sales and customer service folks around the world to be able to access information about the account information and the payments coming in from the customers. That's a simple example of how you can scale your shared services by adding additional workforce, right from GIA. And again, there are several use cases we can talk about how GIA is deployed. Besides the voice, one of the big aspects that we have brought out with GIA is the vision aspect of the things. When I say vision, today GIA is able to read documents, apply OCR and vision capabilities and extract the information. For example, today GIA is extracting information from multiple remittance advisors coming in from different countries and different languages. It can be an assistant to the cash applications team to simply extract remittance advisors from various different sources, such as emails or vendor portals or other areas, and process that data and post that into ERP systems. We have implemented several different skills where GIA can also act as an assistant to a collector, act as an assistant to a credit manager, act as an assistant to a finance executive to find information. All of this is prepackaged and available in the platform, and that brings out tremendous capabilities for finance teams to be able to use these AI capabilities and advance their operational efficiency. GIA is also tied up right into our AI engine, where it can pick up all of the computational capabilities, and simply by asking a question to GIA, you can find out all in. So with this, let me explain how we are bringing all the three pieces, the AI, automation, and analytics together in different processes, such as for credit. Vipul has talked about one of our joint customer, where we are bringing the credit applications and orders from multiple different business units around the world and multiple ERP systems, where these pieces of information of digital applications and digital orders are taken into the Emagia system and processed in a very short order, checking information from credit bureaus, checking validations on business licenses and other aspects, automatically calculating credit scores, making decisions, and delegating the authority wherever it is needed for escalations, and finally bringing that all together in a very short order, almost in a real time, in less than 5 minutes, where all of this processing is happening right from a digital application to the end decision. And today, 100% of the sales orders and the credit applications are able to be processed in real time through this particular system. Great efficiency on credit side, as well as giving a great control on risk management. On the collection side, this is an area where a lot of shift is happening on the receivables management. Today, as especially with the pandemic, the modes of sending the invoices and receiving the payments are getting drastically changed. We have digital invoicing within the system, where the system can primarily take the invoice with a payment option built in right into the invoice. You can have ACH payments, you can have credit card payments right at the at the edge of the invoice. Not only that, Emagia is taking the digital assistant right into the invoice and sending this over, to the customer to be able to capture any issues related to the invoice, whether a customer wants to dispute that particular invoice, or they have a problem with certain line items, or they want to pay that later and communicate back to the receivables team. All of that can be done with the digital assistant right on the edge of the invoicing, right at the edge of the invoices and statements. And that's a huge leap that we have taken with AI, and pushing the digital assistants right to the customers, where they can communicate back to the receivables and collection folks. Tremendous improvements in payments we have seen in in certain cases where the payments times have shortened drastically, and the improvements in AR has become over 90 to 95% current in certain countries. So this is a huge shift that we're seeing on the collection side of the business. The elements, again, depending on whether it is an SMB business, the digital payments take a big role. If it is a large company, that's where you still go through the traditional approval process and the vendor portals, and taking that information, bringing that back into the systems, and to be able to have an automated collection strategy is something that we have pre-built in the system. Your entire collections folks can have an automated strategy and reminders that can help them keep track on the goals and help them keep focused on bringing the cash in. This is where we have seen in general as a norm, we are able to bring our customers to 85% and above current AR percentage on the total AR, and that's a significant metric. And when you look at Hackett and other world-class performance metrics, bringing your current AR above 85% is something that you can easily achieve with systems like this. Deductions management, this is a struggle and a big area of manual interventions in many companies. Ability to take information from customer portals and to be able to process that, identify the dispute information and route it to the appropriate set of people, or automatically do some write-offs and approve some claims. All of that can be automated, and the system again automates a whole whole aspect of deductions management, which brings in tremendous efficiency in terms of the deductions processing. Cash application, this is a huge area of impact in many companies. When you have cash coming in multiple different banks and in multiple different formats, whether it is your credit card payments, whether it's ACH or EDI, or international payments, cross-border payments, when the payments come in, the ability to take that payment information and take the remittance information that again comes in various different formats, through various different channels. This is a struggle in many companies where a large number of team members are allocated for matching up all of this information and posting cash. And the beauty of AI is the ability to bring all of that together and to be able to match it up and do order posting in a fast order. And this is where we definitely see a tremendous improvement in the ability to post cash. Today, many of our customers are able to process cash application with over 90% of accuracy, and some of them are amazed by the capabilities, of GIA, able to understand multiple different languages and do extraction, of the remittance and payment information coming in from, these multiple different formats. And we are continuing to put in a lot of effort and showing a lot of efficiency in the cash application area, and very proud of some of the advancements that we have made in this particular front. Digital customers portal. So this is where, again, having a customer portal where you are able to bring out your invoices, have a digital assistant, assist your customers, and take payments. That is the new wave. And today, along with the Cognizant, we have deployed this to one of our customer where their 1,600 of their customers are on the portal and very actively transacting several millions of dollars through the portal in a very frictionless manner. And the new advances in terms of making frictionless payments and reducing the cost of the credit card processing through direct ACH, for example, and other blockchain and open banking based cross-border payments. There are several opportunities to improve the efficiency on payments, and several opportunities to reduce the cost of the bank fees and the processing fees for the payments. And this is where, again, we are making tremendous strides in bringing together all of this, packaged, low cost, and rapid deployment manner to many of our customers. And I'm very excited about the kind of impact this can give to the overall order to cash process. So with this, where this all comes together is bringing all of these different elements of the credit, receivables, cash application, deductions, all of the data together in one central way. And the shift that we're seeing from a work for the shared services and the global business centers, what we're seeing is while we automate all of those administrative data gathering processes and operations process, we are putting a wealth of information out to the shared services and GBS teams. And this is where they can monitor, meter, and make strategic business decisions to steer their businesses to the right customer segments, for example, to enhance sales strategies for products in in better profitable segments, for example, and a number of different ways you can use these data analytics to steer the business. And that's where we definitely see a shift of personnel and a need obviously for upskilling the order to cash teams into a new generation where they are able to operate some of these digital tools and spend more time in bringing out value and insights to their organizations. Some of the common business metrics that we are able to bring out to our customers are, again, world-class digital metrics. You can compare this with some of the leading benchmark metrics out there. We've talked about how current AR performance has gone higher. DSO reductions on an average, again, 20 to 30% is an average. And if there is a opportunity to improve further in many cases, that has also happened. Cash application, as I said, huge impact, 85 to 90% over there. Approval cycle in terms of credit, again, having thousands of, credit applications, flowing in, and getting approved in matters of minutes. We have seen, huge improvements on the credit cycle as such. And from an overall operations cost perspective, again, there are benchmark, performances out there that world-class digital systems, can provide more than 40 to 45% of advantage. And at Emagia, we have definitely seen and experienced this with our customers, where they are able to have a significant improvement in the operations side. Again, from a cash flow impact perspective, several millions of dollars, for companies, and very measurable and tangible benefits, as we see with some of these systems. So with this, I would like to, again, come to the conclusion of some of my slides with the case study, that we have jointly, done with Cognizant, where, we have impacted over, $10 billion of receivables, or processed $10 billion of receivables on this platform. Several millions of digital transactions, invoices, payments, sales orders, and several others have flowed through the systems. We've deployed this, in over 30 different business units, multiple languages, with all the collections letters and all of that. All in all, bringing a disparate, business environment and a disparate, order to cash environment into a single unified platform and a single unified view. And today they are able to, see a global customer master, a global customer view of their receivables, and majority of the operations are automated in all of these different segments across, credit collections, cash applications, customer care portal, payments, and all of these different aspects. And we are able to, give them the impact. So similar to that, again, we have gone jointly to, a few other customers. And, today we are impacting and successfully deploying this at other joint customers. So with that, I'd like to take a pause and, start taking some of the questions. And together, with Vipul, we will try to, again, take some questions and answer those questions. So with that, Akshay, while you gather the question, one of the first question I would like to, put this out to Vipul, so he can share his perspectives, to all of you. Vipul, you have brought out, some very good elements of transformation on this order to cash. And as we discussed with 2021, being a year of decisions and planning, any, word of advice and any things that you can, share with finance executives out there, how to assess and plan for an order to cash implementation?
Sure, Veena, and I referred to some of those elements earlier in the presentation as well, right? So, given our finance transformation focus, we help a lot of our clients in terms of, looking at in a very structured way how to go about some of these digital programs, right? Looking at from a process view where there are deficiencies which need to be addressed. Second, what is the right solution given your technology environment, right? What value can a platform like Emagia bring in? What challenges can other automation solutions can help solve, and so on. And also understand and highlight some of the change management needs, as you go through that transformation as well. What changes do you need from a process, from a people standpoint, to really maximize the investments into a digital O2C platform?
Absolutely, Vipul. I think that brings in a very good question on on process transformation and harmonization of processes. And so this is where without process harmonization and without agreement on processes, some of these technology solutions may or may not mean anything for customers. So help us a little bit, highlighting the importance of process transformation.
Yeah, I've seen so many initiatives not succeed because there wasn't enough focus on bringing and looking at your processes and looking at where there are challenges, where there are inefficiencies, where there are opportunities for further standardization and so on, right? So that is so very crucial. You cannot possibly automate a broken process. So that has to be an angle that needs to be looked at upfront. And as you do that, make sure that you question the status quo. A lot of times there are exceptions built in a process because people are comfortable doing things in a specific way, right? So challenge those, challenge the status quo, and really reimagine in terms of how you can leverage new age digital solutions like Emagia to genuinely move the needle in terms of your process and operational metrics. And then don't take half measures, right? Bring the changes that are needed. It's like buying smartphones. In the age of iPhone 12, you don't need to be limited by the technology that the iPhone 7 had to offer, right? So there's a lot that is available right there. You need to make sure that you maximize that in the context of your organization.
That's a great analogy, Vipul. So this is a smartphone for order to cash. So very good. So over to you, Akshay. Let's start taking in some questions.
Thanks a lot, Veena. Before I get started with the questions, I would again like to request all the participants to post the questions in the chat window, and I'll take those questions sequentially. So, Veena, we had this question during the presentation, and the question is actually a multi-part. So I'm going to kind of pause it and provide it to you. This is specific to you, I believe, because this is for Gia. The question is, how do you configure Gia to manage various activities, which would be like such as internal communications analysis, external communications, etc., that were mentioned earlier on? And the second part of the question is, how long does it take to configure multiple types of different activities for Gia?
A good question. Obviously, I think Gia and conversational AI is new to many enterprises, and a lot of questions around, hey, how do we configure this to our enterprise? So first and foremost, I'd like to give the analogy of, Siri or, Alexa or Google Assistant, where a whole lot of generic information is, or generic responses is already pre-built. So with Gia, we have built over 100 skills in terms of how it can respond to different questions. And there are areas where you do want to configure very specific terminology or responses that are very specific to your businesses. And that's where we work with you in the implementation phase, and we configure some of those jargons and terminologies into the conversations, and test with you on some of these responses and train Gia accordingly. So again, you can pick and choose which type of skill that you want from Gia. For example, there are request to pay, where it goes out asking for payments and promises to pay and others. There are other skills where request for remittances, when you don't have remittances, you have a payment, GIA goes out and asks for, hey, Mr. or Miss Customer, we have received this payment from you, but, where, do you want to apply these? And here are your 3 open invoices. So that's a request to remit skills. So like that, we have several skills. And at the type of deployment, we work with you to, enable, or disable some of these skills out there.
The next question is, what is the average amount of time it takes for your clients to arrive at the performance objectives on the slide that was mentioned, which is the world-class digital performance for the new normal?
So, first and foremost, I think, that answer depends upon the size of the organization, as well as, the opportunity of improvement, that is presented within the organization. A typical deployment, again, a small scale deployment, can, go from anywhere from, 6 to 8 weeks, whereas a large scale, multi-country rollout and, multi-continent rollout, can, be phased out in multiple phases and, can go on, in 3 or 4 different phases, spread, through several months. And again, improvements, typically happen. We're definitely seeing within the first 6 months a big impact, in terms of, the receivable side. In terms of cash application and some of these mass, deductions and, disputes management, a significant impact, within the first, 3 months is what we're seeing as a significant impact. And again, the AI and machine learning, they learn from the data, and and we see significant improvements, right? From first few months of deployments.
Thanks, Meena. I have 2 more questions. Let me go with the other one that came in just recently, because I've covered one question from the other participant earlier on. I want to give a chance to the other participant as well. So the question is, does Emagia predict deductions? If so, what are those deductions?
So Emagia does predict deductions and potential reasons for deductions, and it primarily takes the information from the customer data and the reason codes from the customer data, and predicts accordingly. So it depends on, again, customer and the industries that the customer is in.
Thanks, Meena. Just wanted to remind all the participants that we just have about 2 minutes to go. So any other questions, please do. In fact, just 1 minute to go. Please do post your questions in the chat window. The next question, Veena, is from the participant to understand about the relationship between the Cognizant and Emagia partnership, and you want to throw some light onto it?
Sure. Yeah, I see a question here. Is there a formal agreement whereby Cognizant and Emagia are going to market together? And the answer is yes. There is a formal agreement with Cognizant and Emagia, and we've been, again, jointly going to market, since last couple of years.
Including a few common clients that we have over the years.
Thanks a lot, Veena and Vipul, on that. So I think we are almost through with our questions for today, and just a few more seconds for us to go before we get to the top of the hour. Anything additional that you wanted to add to it, Veena and Vipul, as part of the closing before closing the session?
Sure, certainly, Akshay. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all the participants for joining us today. And Vipul, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing about Cognizant digital finance services, as well as our joint work on order to cash transformation. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Thanks, Veena. Thank you all.
And thank you very much to all the participants. And we really appreciate you patiently listening into both of our speakers today. And what I just want to remind you all that we are going to be sending the recording of this session over to you in the next couple of days. Please do look out for it. Thank you. Thank you, Vipul. Thanks a lot, Veena. Take care.
Thank you, Akshay.